Now kick start.
Hang on. It's a pressed.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the WBC Talks. Stay home, stay safe. I hope you're good at home, enjoying this show. This is round number 37, and this time is, a WBC curse. This time we move our studio to London or someplace in the UK.
Blimey, Victor, blimey.
And of course, you know Jill, that's Jill. And she's the chair of the WBC curse. She does wonderful things with it. Jill.
Victor.
How are you?
I'm good, I'm good. It's sunny in New York for a change, still brutally cold, but 2 days, no rain, not complaining at all. And we're all here, we're healthy. I mean, that is the prayer. We're gonna get through this together. We're gonna get through it healthy, and we're going to make a bright new world, a better world. That's how I'm thinking it.
That's great. And now let me introduce 𝗧𝗔𝗟𝗡𝗗. She's the director of the WBC University and always has a great message for you.
Hi, Victor. Thank you for the introduction. It's very nice to see Jill and to see all our guests today. In the other side, I'm in San Carlos. He's in the North Mexico. And here we don't have cold weather. Here is very warm right now, but we're still at home trying to be safe. And I share what Jill says, that pretty soon we are going to have, for sure, a better world. And all this time has helped us to reflect on how can we get the best version of ourselves. And because of that today, I'm going to share with you a little bit about the relevance of develop your self-confidence, and not only in yourself, but also in the boxers. So what is self-confidence? Well, it refers to confidence in your own self regarding your own attributes, such as life skill, decision-making, power, and many others. Normally, we take doses of self-confidence from our own experience. Self-confidence is very important, and is very important for boxers, for athletes, because it can be a determining factor to a promising career. Self-confidence is very, very difficult to achieve because it could be considered, and maybe it can be considered, the most important skill that an athlete can have, because it always gives a competitive advantage, and also give us as persons in a daily life, we have an advantage if we are confident of ourselves. Okay, is when we tell ourselves, yes, I can, yes, I'm able to, because I'm good, this and that. But well, if a boxer believes in himself from the bottom, then he's going to execute his skills for the fight and that he or she has acquired. Then he will fight to the best of his ability with total freedom, security, and without any expectation, without fear, without terror. He will fight to win and not to lose. All that is in the mind. And here in this panel, we have shared before that how sometimes our brain betrays us, okay? Because our brain is trained to be negative. That's the way. Our brain is what protects us to survive, okay? And the brain usually puts the only one bad experience can has more power than many previous good experience. Only one experience can change you for the bad and not for the good, because your brain is going to give priority to the negative information over the positive information. So in this case, negative is like Velcro, you know, and positive information is like Teflon, it goes. But it depends on you if you train your mind to acquire only positive thinking, to repeat to yourself, yes, I can. Right now, the pandemic is going to go away. I'm the best boxer. I'm the best conductor. I'm the best in music. I'm the best journalist, teacher, boxer, whatever. That requires a mental training to have a very, very positive self confidence to confine on yourself. So with this reflection today, I'm gonna leave you, Victor and Jill, to this great panel. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, 𝗧𝗔𝗟𝗡. I think this is very important. And of course, Scott and Luis can tell us about this. A fighter has to believe that he's the best on the ring.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, now it's time for Jill to make the introductions and get the show. I'm gonna drink my coffee in my John Wayne mug. So
excellent.
It's all yours.
Well, this seemed like the right time to do this. So let me give you a little background. World Boxing Care started in 2006 under the guise of the World Boxing Council and 𝗧𝗔𝗟𝗡𝗗, composed of compassionate volunteers from all over the world. And there have been many branches. There's Mexico, the Philippines, Thailand, Puerto Rico, but there's one that stands tall. It's in a small, tiny island in Europe, and it's called the UK. So headed by Scott Walsh, a really big guy with a big heart who you don't ever want to get angry at you. And his co-deputy, David Nathaniel Walker, they tackle some of the UK's biggest issues when it comes to young, disenfranchised youth, and also support programs for people who have extraordinary challenges and extraordinary strengths. So although we work as a global team, when only someone who lives in an area, breathes in that area, walks in that area can truly see the problems that they face and hopefully can deal with the solutions. So today we have the group WBC Cares UK, and we're going to introduce them, and then we want to talk about all the wonderful things they've been doing over the last few years and how they started and got together, the whole kit and caboodle. So first we have Scott Welsh, who's a former heavyweight champion, chair of WBCK's UK. And Scott, are you an actor? I heard rumors that you've been in some movies. Is that true?
I did do a couple of things, but no, I'm not an actor. I wish I was. Well, unfortunately, no. But no, I had the opportunity to have a fight, a boxing match with Brad Pitt. So that was my claim to fame, really.
Couldn't take you, kid. You must have been very gentle with him.
Yeah, I wasn't allowed to hit him. So he was allowed to hit me, but I wasn't allowed to hit him. But we had great fun doing it. So it was very good.
You may come back to that profession at some point, right?
Yeah.
David, who's the deputy, and really the inspiration behind World Boxing Care UK, and he's also head of the WBC merchandising in the UK. Hi, David. How are things going there?
Hi. Yeah, really good, thank you. And but you know, I was one of the founders, but it was your inspiration. Where you sold the idea to Jose, and you know, I've been involved since then. So, but I've been so happy and proud to be involved. So many great people I've met throughout the whole world, and got a great team now. I mean, when you start talking to Dan and Louise and people that can't be here, we've got a very strong team. Mick Lowe and Julius Francis, who fought Mike Tyson, and there's loads of people. Yeah, John H. Tracy. We've got, it's a real strong team that Scott leads.
Well, we're all about that team and all the different activities that you're doing. I know you're representing some of the activities today, but there's a whole bunch of other things that you do. So let's go on now. Dan, we've never met before. How are you?
I'm very well, Jill, thank you. Yeah, very well.
How did you get involved with these characters?
It was through a joint friend of Scott and myself, a guy called 𝗧𝗟𝗡𝗨𝗡, who's a former professional heavyweight fighter as well. And I was at a conference, a mental health conference, speaking alongside Joe, said that we should get together. And Scott basically just gave me a call one day. We had a really good chat. I invited Scott to come to Wales, which is quite a fair drive from where Scott lives. He came up to Wales. We had a great few hours in my living room having a chat about what we'd like to do and what WBC Cares is and moving forward. And it was just one of those meetings when you sit down and talk to somebody and you get that genuine feeling that what they want to do and what the organisation wants to do is just to try and help people in any way that they can. And that just resonated with me. And as soon as Scott offered me a chance to become involved, I jumped at it.
And I understand you are also known as being quite an activist. You've helped a lot of people and made a lot of change.
Yeah, I acquired a disability back in 2005, and I didn't really understand what being disabled was and what life as a disabled person would be. So after spending a year in hospital, it was a real shock to enter society, and society not really being prepared for what my disability was. I ended up losing both of my legs. I'm a bilateral double amputee, and the world wasn't equipped for my disability. So I kind of thought, well, I can use my experience of what I've gone through. I can use that whole journey of what I've been on to try and change things for the better, to try and put disability in a more positive light, and to try and open up opportunities for disabled people that they probably would have never thought possible. And a big part of that has been the work that we've Scott and WBC Cares.
I think visibility, don't you? The visibility.
Sorry, say that again?
The visibility helps in order to help.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Dan, tell the people a little bit more about what happened. And I think you've lost a bit more than both legs, I think. So I think
yeah,
they tell them.
So basically, in London on the 7th of July 2005, there was a terrorist attack where some suicide bombers blew up 3 tube trains and a London bus. I happened to be on one of those tube trains, stood right next to the guy that was carrying a bomb. So as a result of the blast, I lost both my legs. I lost my left eye, a catalogue of other kind of life-threatening injuries. I died 3 times on the day of the attack, so I've had to have open heart surgery to restart my heart. I was in a medically induced coma for 8 weeks. I was in intensive care for 12 weeks, and I was in hospital for 52 weeks. So I was 26 years old when it happened, so it kind of stripped me of everything that I knew, my career and everything. I had to kind of rebuild from scratch. On top of that, I was diagnosed with complex post-traumatic stress disorder. So that plays quite a big part of my life. It's one of those things that I constantly have to battle sometimes just to get through the day. So there's a whole kind of myriad of things that has happened to me, but I'm an incredibly fortunate man that I survived it. I'm incredibly lucky with the life I've got, and I'm determined that my big thing is that I couldn't help anybody on the day that the attacks happened. So I want to dedicate as much as I can to helping people now, because I feel that I can really make a difference through my lived experience, and kind of my survival should count for something. And that's what I wanted to do.
Dan, tell them about you boxing when you were younger, and Frank Bruno, and then on the night that we did as well.
So I started boxing at quite a young age. I started boxing when I was about 6 or 7. So I boxed for a few years as a junior, then kind of come away from the sport for a little while, playing football and things like that. But then after I got injured, I wanted to do something, and I knew boxing was always one of those sports that really gave me a good focus and kind of put me in a really good mindset. So I looked to get back into wheelchair boxing to try and train and kind of get myself physically strong and in a good place. And I was fortunate that an old school friend of mine was a professional fighter and ran a gym. So I used to go and train with him. And on my darkest of days, when my PTSD was really, really bad, it was the boxing and that side of things that really helped, because it gave me a focus. It gave me something to focus on. And I found that when I went in a gym, I wasn't Dan the terrorism survivor. I wasn't Dan the disabled guy. I was just Dan the boxer. I was another guy that would go in there and hit an heavy bag and do pad work and do a bit of sparring. And I was treated as part of that family. And I never forgot that. And then unfortunately my PTSD got really bad, and I kind of went on a downward spiral for a few years. But then getting back involved with Scott, and Scott's helped me and Lou's helped me get training again and get back involved in the actual boxing side of things as well, which has been fantastic for me. We recently, in December last year, put on a show in Brighton, and Frank Bruno was kind of our guest of honor. And it was really weird because kind of 32 years prior to that, Frank Bruno presented me with my first boxing trophy. So to actually see Frank Bruno again, and between Scott, Dave and Frank, they presented me with a WBC medal, which absolutely meant the world to me, because again, 32 years from being a small boy boxing and then kind of coming full circle and coming back to it. It was an amazing experience for me that night.
That's unbelievable. And on a very small level, I can completely relate to boxing as a way of coming out of issues. I mean, I started boxing when my husband died for the same reason, in the sense that I was physically able at the time, but emotionally completely destroyed. And it put you in the moment. It gave you an outlet for your anger. It put you in a community that was very understanding and non-judgmental. That's the one thing about the boxing community, that they are not judgmental. So on that level, I completely identify. But what a trip you've been through, and to be the reluctant role model that you are, an inspiration to many people. I mean, I can only bless you for that, because you could have gone the other direction, obviously, and become bitter and not a useful member of society. Instead, you're a star. So that's fabulous.
Thank you very much. It's one of those things that I lost a little bit of, I think when I got injured, I lost everything that I was. So prior to getting injured, I was a big guy. I was 6'5". I was a very big guy. And there wasn't just the physical elements that I've had to overcome. And as I said before, my PTSD is something that I live with every day. And I kind of look at it as that some days I get through the day laughing and joking. I've got fantastic support from my wife, who's absolutely amazing. The guys, Scott, Lou, Dave, absolutely fantastic support there. It's some days you get through it laughing and joking, other days you get through it by the skin of your teeth. But there's always tomorrow. Tomorrow can always be that better day, and that's the way that I live my life. I'm just very fortunate that I've got a fantastic support network around me and an amazing opportunity. Boxing's a sport that I love, so to be part of that again and be working so closely with guys that I've admired for a number of years is just fantastic.
Well, given the pandemic, we're going to have to look to you to see how people pull themselves out of horrible times. Truly, you are our inspiration.
Yeah, I believe that the way you react or think of, because you couldn't help them, when usually most people say, I need help, that makes a difference, and that makes you a different person. And that's the reason you're doing what you do.
Yeah,
absolutely. I think that it's kind of a double-edged sword. I was very unlucky that I was fully conscious after the explosion, so I saw everything that went on. But I was also very lucky to be fully conscious, because if I hadn't have been, I would have probably kind of passed away in the tunnel. So I know what happened to others around me, and that really has always been a big driving force behind me, is that I want to help as many people as I can, because I suffer from a mental health issue as such as PTSD. I don't want other people to feel as lost and as isolated and as alone as I did. I want to try and do something that can support people, get them physically fit, get them mentally fit, and just able to deal with what's happened to them in the past or what they may be going through now. But I think boxing is a fantastic outlet for that. If you look at former champions that have had really hard starts in their life and the way that boxing turns their life around, there's so much that boxing can give people. And I'm just very fortunate to be able to work with a team that want to do exactly the same.
well, unbelievable. I mean, they say that when people go through horrible circumstances, they come out one of two ways. Either they say, this happened to me, forget about you, you take care of yourselves, or this happened to me, I want to lead you, help you, I don't want to see any person ever suffer the way I did. And you came out on the positive side, and we're very grateful for that and for the information and help and support that you give other people. So thank you.
He's an unbelievable man, Jill, an unbelievable man. So together with Lou and Dave and a few of the other guys we got with us, we're gonna put together a big mental health program, and that's what we're working on at the moment. So that's one of the things we're working on as well. So,
and now we get to the lovely lady in the middle whose exercise I've yet to take, but who I'm wild about. I have sent your information out to so many people, because it not only applies to people in wheelchairs, but people with bad backs, people who have balance issues. I mean, anyone who can sit in a chair is helped by the exercise program that you give. So please tell us about yourself.
Oh gosh, so I've been welcomed into your family for around about a year now with the WBC. I met Scott through a Facebook group of adaptive boxers, people similar to myself who were looking for places or an outlet to go and try boxing in wheelchairs. Scott came over to Barnsley in Yorkshire, where I am. In fact, it was literally a year ago. It was May. And he introduced me to some other wheelchair boxers and told me about this program that I had this idea about, and it was just brand new. And that was the Safer Adaptive boxing program. It took me 5 minutes and I was sold. I really, really was. And to be honest, the rest is very much history. I got welcomed into the club, supported by Scott, and within just a few short months, we were doing some one-to-one lessons with people with physical disabilities in wheelchairs. Just the basic stuff, you know, just the seated fitness, the pad work, a bit of bag work, and the cardio and stuff. But the beauty of doing those classes meant that we could have adaptive boxers and standing boxers or traditional boxers all working together. Lomachenko.
What a picture, huh? That's Cancun.
Wow, yeah. What a week that was.
Yeah, so for the past year, we've been running the Safe Adaptive boxing program alongside traditional boxing, and it's just amazing. And what you find from that is you get the standing boxers wanting to jump in the chair and give it a go. They totally appreciate this is a sport in its own right, and appreciate how do you move a chair with a pair of gloves on, then defend and then throw shots as well. But yeah, going back to kind of my journey, so I met Scott, we started doing these classes, and he asked me if I'd like to be part of the team that went out to Mexico to the WBC convention in October last year to launch this as a sport. And with my co-ambassador, Chris, we gladly accepted the invitation, went out to Mexico to the WBC convention, I think it was the 57th, and we launched our sport on the stage where Ali was crowned king of boxing, which was, looking at that photo, it was amazing. There was over 90 world champions in that audience, 1,500 people in total, influential figures in boxing from 166 countries. I had never boxed outside of my gym until that day. So to go on that stage with Mauricio, introducing our sport, talking so kindly about it, and explaining that they wanted to support us was just amazing. The response we got on that day was phenomenal. And I really do believe that day changed my life and many other people's lives.
And many other people's lives, yes. And how the chairs, are they made specially? I mean, who creates the chairs that allow you to do this sport? I mean, they have to be different than the normal chairs. How do you do that?
Yeah, so there's already sports chairs designed for different wheelchair sports. So the chairs that we tend to use are a cross kind of between something like a wheelchair basketball chair and maybe a tennis chair would suit too. The only difference is we don't have the bumper around the front, which just means that you can kind of get in a bit closer. But they have anti-tip wheels on the back. And if you wondered why, that's why we don't fall out of the back when we come together, when we do.
Well, this is amazing. Victor, did you have anything you wanted to ask?
I just want to tell Luis that I have a brother with multiple sclerosis, and I need to cheer him up, and I show him the pictures and the video of what you do, and it's amazing what you can do. And it is, you think about it, he's trying to work that and get over that and make the things that Daniel and you do. And you are an inspiration. That's what I want to tell you. Here is the video in Cancun.
Do you want to narrate this, Louise or Scott? Please
Yeah.
do.
Off you go, Scott.
Let's do this. And we come out there. It was all a bit rushed, wasn't it, Louise? We didn't really understand what we were going to get, but we come on there and they did a great job. They showed exactly what we wanted to show. So you talk them through it, Louise.
Yeah, so this was literally the first full day of the convention. We only actually found out the night before, didn't we, that we were going on to open the on the opening ceremony. So yeah, we just did a couple of minutes as a showcase, really, just showing the defensive tactics that we use. So with the Safe Adaptive Boxing program, it's not really about the heavy blows and the big shots. It's about the ring craft and the defensive skills that come with it. Obviously, we're moving the chairs, the wheels are our feet. So we're moving at the feet with our hands, we're defending with our hands, and we're punching with our hands. So we've kind of got all three jobs to do, just with a pair of hands, really. So yeah, the reason that a man and a woman can box in this form of sport is for that reason. It isn't about the big blows. So you would look to be marked down for aggressive shots and wild shots and things like that. And it's about catching. It's all about catching on the hands and using some nice flag defenses and really just getting out of the way. Get out of the way and then lock off your opponent with that ring craft. As you can see there, he's not coming past me.
But you guys, it's a fantastic feeling boxing, as we all know, right? And you guys get exactly the same feeling for having fun in there. You know, you haven't got to throw the big shots. It's about enjoying it. You're having fun. You're enjoying it, and you're changing your world as well, aren't you?
Oh, massively. It's totally about outskilling your opponent, but I know that in doing that, I'm not going to get hurt and I'm not going to hurt somebody else, but you still come out on top. If you've defended those shots and you've stopped them from getting past you and they ain't getting, you know, they're not getting that space, you're closing them down. That's the thrill of it, you know? There's a lot more to it than blood on the canvas and knockouts.
Great. It looks exciting.
It's amazing.
What you can't see there is the fact that all these champions and all these people are on their feet cheering. They really lifted the roof of the venue at that point. So
it was overwhelming.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
It'll get us ready for the way boxing itself is going to be in the next 2 months without an audience. Oh,
yeah,
this is amazing. This is really amazing. And David and Scott, I know that this is one of the programs that you do. Firstly, with this, what were the obstacles you had bringing this program to an audience, to the general public? Was there any resistance? Did you have to work hard on this, or was there any connection?
Scott, if I go first,
go on.
The resistance, because it was Scott's come to me with it and said, look, I've just seen these I think it was Special Forces guys doing something for a charity event, and he said, oh, I want to get involved in it. And I thought it was the worst idea in the world. I thought people that have already been hurt and damaged and get in boxing. I was like, are you crazy? He said, David, come with me, meet some people, and then make a decision. And I realized I had sort of like these inbuilt prejudices, and I went there and I saw people from all kinds of backgrounds and all kinds of abilities, from, you know, really serious amateurs to people that just like the lifestyle, to people in wheelchairs, all becoming friends, all training, all using the same equipment. And that blew me away. And I thought, okay, yeah, you got it sold. But there was some of it that was a bit too much contact. I thought, well, you know, in the infancy. So Scott and Louise and Dan and a few other people have had to really work hard to change, the boxing and the wheelchairs to a completely new sport, which has different kinds of measurements, but still has the excitement factor. So, I mean, a hell of a lot of work's got involved, but I'll stop there, Scott. I'll let you get involved there.
Scott?
Jill, this was at the very beginning, so nobody had ever done this before, or I certainly hadn't seen it. I know there's definitely a few people out there been doing it, but they've been hitting each other hard, and my thing was, when I first saw it, I was like, you guys, I saw one bout. They did one bout on a special forces, as Dave said, on a special forces show in England. And they both come out, and I believe that they were very close. One of them was very close to getting knocked out. So I pulled them afterwards. I said, listen, you've just completely blown me away with what I've seen. But I would never want to see one of you get hurt or get knocked out. I mean, could you imagine getting one of these guys getting knocked out and being put in a recovery position, lifted out of the wheelchair? I mean, that must never happen. But what I saw, the crowd was on their feet. I was blown away, and these two guys were having fun, big fun. Probably going too hard. Chris was one of them. I pulled Chris afterwards, and I said, Chris, talk me through it. Tell me about it. How close were you to? How big were them shots? Were you getting hurt with them shots? Oh, I got hurt with a couple, but it didn't really hurt me, Scott. Blah blah blah. And I said, okay. And I went away and I thought about it, and I thought, right, how can we do this and none of them get hurt, and really they're enjoying it so much. They're loving it. So, okay, let's talk. Let's start again. So I said, Chris, listen, I want to work on a few things with you. And he was up for it. He's been unbelievable. It was unbelievable. And the work we did was kind of just talk it through. He was at the very beginning. And then we just started to put it together and doing all the training. So it was a spar, basically a spar, an enjoyable spar for him. And then they made it faster, and they're doing skills, and they're doing different things in the wheelchairs. And that's how it's evolved, really. And then we got Louise involved, and Louise has brought her own unique thing to it as well. So you can now, she can go with Chris, and girls and guys can mix, because we're not going for the knockout. There's no knockout blows in it. No one's going out throwing massive shots. Everyone's there having fun and training. And there's a picture of the few guys that we've got. We've got more than that, but these are just some of them, and they're having absolutely wonderful time. They're loving the training. As we talked about earlier when the program first started, about mental health and belief in yourself. I mean, these people are growing. I've already seen the difference in them. They're doing press ups. They're now looking after their bodies. They're now thinking about making their bodies stronger. It's making their mental health stronger. So it's fantastic. I mean, Louise can tell you more. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah, boxing is such a maligned sport, but there's so many positive ways to use it because it's so primal. It gets those endorphins out. It's so necessary. I mean, we use it for Parkinson's too. We use it for other problems also, but for the mental health, I've never met a sport that is as good when it's done this way to increase a person's confidence, upper body strength. It's really about, for women in particular, about upper body strength and their minds focused. It's amazing.
I think, and as it goes on, we will evolve it into something magnificent, I'm sure. And we're doing that now. It's coming along. Everything's coming together. We're working hard, and everybody's working hard to put it together. So and showcase where you're going out, you're doing everything that you're doing, but the knockout blows ain't there, the big shots ain't there. But you will still enjoy what you see as much as watching a boxing match.
Do you do this at any specific gym, or are there gyms around the place, or online training? How do you get this out to people?
Well, Louise.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, so at the minute, obviously due to the lockdown and the foreseeable future, we haven't got any programs going on inside gyms at the moment, but actually that's created an amazing opportunity for the online classes. So about a week after the lockdown came in, really, it was a little bit selfish of me. I was sort of thinking, how am I going to keep active? Because I do all sport in a wheelchair. I'm mobilised with crutches. So for me to get my heart rate up and to exercise at home is really, really tough. And I thought, okay, if I'm sat here thinking like that, feeling like this, there's going to be a whole load of other people that are too. So initially, just with a couple of the adaptive boxes that are already known to us, we said, right, let's just do some classes. Let's get online and I'll do exactly what we would do in the gym, and we'll shadow box it, and we'll do some fitness, we'll work on core, and we'll start trying to strengthen some of our weaker points, really. And from that, we just said, right, let's open it up to everybody. And we've been running 4 weeks now. We've got just over 100 members. From UK, we've got a couple in Germany and America. So now every weekday we do an hour of seated fitness and adaptive online, and they can be accessed through Facebook. So we can give you all of the details if you would be happy to post those.
Yeah, and
Jill,
Victor,
I would like to show a picture, and I want to ask Luis to describe the feeling of it or what happened at that moment. The picture, please. Just a picture. Gilbert, can we change to the picture, please? Okay.
we'll come back to it then.
Here I have it.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah, I fangirled big style that day. Yeah, so I knew Clarissa was there, and I mentioned to Scott that I really did want to meet her if possible. And Scott and Dave actually arranged that for me just as we were going down to the pool one day. Yeah, it was amazing, and I turned into a 14-year-old fangirl. I'm not gonna lie. It was amazing. Yeah, inspirational to me. Yeah, to meet the 𝗥𝗢𝗨, basically.
Do you bring this into any of the schools or anything like that to show the kids?
So we have the youngest member actually is in Barnsley with us. He's 13. He has cerebral palsy and has always wanted to get involved in an adaptive sport, but has never had the opportunity. So he works with us in the gym, but we are speaking to his school about potentially going in and doing some awareness days where some of the able-bodied kids can have a go in the wheelchair and doing some of the...
I think that would be great for him too, for people to come in and see him do that.
He's a really good example of what this can do both physically and mentally. When he first came into the gym, he was head down, really quiet, shy, didn't really speak to anybody, kept himself to himself. And just in a few short months, he comes in with the biggest smile on his face, and he's telling jokes, and he's, going around challenging people, saying, come on, have a go in this chair. Let's see if you can do it, And physically, but his family and his consultant actually have all fed back and commented on how his coordination and muscle tone in his upper body is really improved. I think, like I say, he's been with us about 10 months. So that's just amazing. And for his family to say that they're seeing the difference in him in school as well with his peers and things like that, that's what it's all about.
We've had people who've tried to accomplish this in the United States. Ian Cannon, who has cerebral palsy, has worked for years trying to put on wheelchair boxing, and he has not been successful. They have not been able to really showcase it in a way that has made it become anyway popular in the United States. So it's great. It's really great that you can do it. Dan, do you have anything more to say about that?
Yeah, I think the big thing for me is that when you look at wheelchair boxing and safer adaptive boxing, what it does, it challenges people's perception of disability. And that's something that I love. I love seeing that. The young lad that Lou was just mentioning, I was very fortunate enough to be in Barnsley and met the boy. And it's phenomenal. You see his face light up when he comes into a gym. and it challenges what people think disabled people can do. And I think that, for me, that's the big thing. When we talk about equality across all the various strands, and particularly disability, people have a perception of what it is to be disabled. It's basically saying, well, your life comes to a standstill once you get a disability. What this program does is goes, no, it doesn't. It's just the start of another chapter, and it's the start of something new. And what we've been able to provide is something that shows people actually we're capable of more than what people assume. And it's challenging those assumptions and challenging those perceptions that gives people that lift. And I think that if you look at the photo that we had up earlier on in the gym with all the guys in the wheelchairs, just look at the smiles on their faces. It's a genuine excitement. It's a genuine enjoyment that you can't replicate. You can't fake that. And again, being in their training, you're with people that have gone through experiences that you understand, and they understand you, and you feel at home now. And I think that's one of the greatest things I think that we are creating, is we're creating a family, and there's no better feeling than being part of that. There really isn't.
That's great. Now, Scott?
Yeah, just quickly, Jill, just to keep going on that. I mean, I understand boxing at every level. You know, when I was boxing, there was at least 10 boxers that were injured badly and lost their lives. Some of them lost their lives and some of them were injured badly. So the last thing we want to do, and I want to do, is be involved in something that would get these guys hurt. And what we're doing, no one's getting hurt. Everyone's having a fantastic time, and it's lifting them mentally. That's the only thing we want to do, and that's what we're doing. And they're all having a fantastic time.
It looks quite that way, that, you know, that this is being done just the way the WBC does boxing in general. All the safety precautions are in hand, and you're going to do the most exciting fight within the limits of what you can do without injuring other people. That's what it is, and it looks like it's successful. But now I just want to move off of this for just a moment, because I know you have some other programs going, the knife program and things like that, and your team. Could you just tell us a little bit about some of the other things that you're doing in the UK?
Yeah, we've got 13.
But
yeah, we're in 13 different gyms at the moment, running, or we were running before the lockdown. Successfully, we're working with over 700 kids in various places, London and the South Coast, and we're getting them again. We're changing their mindsets. We're helping them. We're growing them, and they're changing massively. They're loving the training. They're loving the mental side of it. We're growing them mentally. Yeah, we've got Julius Francis is one of the trainers in London, in the London gym. We've got various other trainers all around, and they're all working at the same thing, and it's working really, really well. So we're looking forward. We're staying in contact with a few of the kids, and as soon as we can get out of lockdown again, we'll be back working with them again. So.
And how do you measure the success of those programs?
Well, we're under youth offending, and we're under youth offending, and they are keeping an eye on everything. They're coming back to us, telling us how much they've changed, how they've seen the change in these kids. And so we're working with them closely. I've asked for some of the worst kids in London, and they're giving us them as well. So we're working with them in changing lives. We're looking at getting them jobs as well. I've got various people around me that have offered them jobs. So we're putting them into work as well. So it's a massive change in their lives.
What about the knife program? I know that you've been working a little bit with that too.
Well, these are predominantly, these kids have been involved in knife crime, and that's why they're under youth offending and the police. We work closely with the police in youth offending, so they're the ones that we get given, and but these kids are exactly what the boxing guys. These kids have had hard backgrounds. They're coming through, and there's a few kids in these groups that I believe are potential champions. I mean, There's one in particular that I'm working with who's going to move out of London and come down to Brighton. He's a star in the making. He's got a great physique. He looks the part. He's mentally there, and he was in a real bad place. He's been involved in drugs and knife crime. He's also got done for carrying a gun. So he was on the verge of going away for a long time. We worked with another one in Brighton that was looking at 5 to 8 years. He done robberies, knife point robberies and assaults. And he worked with us over the course of a year. He went to court. We gave him, told him exactly what we're doing with him and how he's changed. And with the youth offending and the police, they understood exactly what we're doing, and he got an 18-month suspended sentence. So that was fantastic for us. And they said that it was because of what we've been doing with them. So, positive changes through the boxing programs is exactly what's happening. That's what we're doing.
So, David, can I just tickle your memory for just a minute? Can you take us to Wales for those wild 3 days that we did? God, 100 years ago, and all the champions that showed up for you, and what a time that was. Unbelievable. Just name some of the champions that came from across the world.
Well, Scott was there for a start. That was, and we had 5 former and current female world champions there, Jill, and our own British Jane Couch, who was great rivals with Sharon Arias in the early part of their career. But what the thing I found amazing, when I got the announced there would be women champions there, I actually got a lot of stick. People saying that could have gone to a male champion. I was like, look, but we had 59 former and current. The WBC had 59 former and current world champions. That's the largest ever gathering in Europe of champions. It was the first time in nearly 100 years that the professional body, the WBC, had been involved, any kind of professional body in boxing had been involved in amateur boxing. We put a pre-Olympic boxing tournament on. We put on a very low budget film about a great Welsh boxer, Howard Winston, called 𝗧𝗔𝗟𝗞𝗦, which won a BAFTA, which is the equivalent to an Oscar in the UK. And we got 29 other awards for that. And we helped a bright young thing, film director, Neil Jones, who's from a working class background. Merthyr Tydfil's a tough town. And from doing that film, he's gone on to have still now a great career, directing things and stuff like that. So we gave, one of the things I'm proudest of is we took on volunteers, the kids from tough areas who were graduates who hadn't had a job in 3 years. They couldn't get a job because the economy was tough, and also because where they lived. And so we gave them opportunities, we gave them portfolios. They grabbed the opportunity with both hands, and they're all, doing really well. It was a really great thing to have on their curriculum vitae and get them other jobs afterwards. But no, it was amazing. And you were there, Jill. Were you there, Victor? I didn't sleep 3 days. I looked like I was beaten up at the end. My eyes was like a pat. It was such a. The funniest memory that sticks in my mind is with Chuck Williams, and him just disappearing after the film premiere. And he fell down about 8 or 10 foot. Anyone else would have broken bones, but Chuck is invincible, I think. And he got up and he goes, "I'm going to sue you, Walker," and his gruff sort of voice. But yeah, no, it was brilliant. And Mauricio was excellent. And to have people like Vitaly Klitschko and Roberto Duran, and amazing.
David, I was working with a TV network and Mauricio invited us. So I said, I'll go. But my boss said, no, you have a meeting. You have a very important meeting. So I have to send someone else. And I was so jealous when I saw the pictures in the castle and everything.
Yeah.
So my first trip to Wales, that's the first place I went.
Wow. Okay. Well, the castle's amazing. It's been there since the Romans invaded in one guise or another. So it was a great thing to have all the champions on the steps. Very proud of being involved.
Jill, there's some people writing to us, and Susie French says, boxing in Louis' classes has really helped me, my mental health issues, so I can really relate to Dan's story. Kevin Noon says, whoa, Dan is an inspiration, what a story. Stephen Blia, totally impressed with Louisa, she's so skilled. David and Scott have one hell of an inspiration team.
They do. So guys, what are your plans for when this horrible phase of life is over? What are you planning? What's the go ahead?
Well, there is, in the near term, Scott, Louise, Dan, and Matthew have created a mental health document, which is going to go online. It's localized to the UK, but we could send it to you so you can adapt it to America with lots of really great tips. It's
Please.
Mental Health Week next week, so we'll pass that forward for you to change. And that's what they've been working on.
Have we ever known Mental Health Week more than
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so that will go live on Monday, Jill, so we'll get that over to you.
We're a part of the U.S. Congressional Mental Health Task Force, and every May we're in Washington speaking on children's mental health and on mental health in general. Of course, nobody's leaving their house now. So please get us that document, and I would love to show it to the Mental Health Task Force, Representative Napoleano, and all of the people who do that here in the U.S. And maybe they can do something together. It would be fabulous.
Wonderful.
That document. And you said it was going to be broadcast?
No, it's a PDF, so it's a tool basically that people can download and stuff and help them, you know. And it's got, when I say it's localized, some of the information is universal because, you know, and you know, people like Dan have amazing contributions. But the local thing would be like the links to websites. It would be UK based. So what you'd be able to do is make them US based or change the language to Spanish. So and Mexican websites have helped for mental health.
See it, right, Victor? And you can do it for Mexico, Victor.
Sure.
That would be great. So, but when this whole thing is over, so we have the 700 kids in the gym, the knife, the put down the knives, all of this going. Is there something else, some big dream, some big goal that you have that you'd like to talk about right now? What do you need? What are you going for?
Who's going? Who's going?
Yeah, I'll wait for you to. Yeah,
go on, Dan, you do it.
I think that the big thing from the Safer Adaptive Boxing side is to really put it on the map, to get people really in tune with what we're doing, to take part in it, to experience something new, and just to use the sport for what we all know it can be. I think that with the power of what we're doing, it opens boxing up to a whole raft of people that would have never in a million years thought it was possible. I mean, the classes that Lou runs, as she said, she's over 100 members now in 4 weeks. It's phenomenal. So we can see the power that this is having already. What we're doing is we're getting these guys prepped and ready so that when we come out of lockdown, they're confident to go into a gym. And then we're starting building it again from there. So everything that we're doing now is building on what we did before the lockdown, using that as a solid foundation to really propel the Safer Adaptive Boxing as a sport. I often say to people, it's boxing, but not as you know it. And they kind of look at me a bit like, well, boxing's boxing. It isn't. When you look at this, it's a totally different skill set. I was asked to describe it, and I said it's ballet chess, but with punches. And that's what it is. It's phenomenal movement, it's tactics, and you're throwing punches as well. It is quite something to see.
Are you creating a league, like an international league? Is that the desire?
So initially, it's more about the fun and the recreation of it, really, Jill. So just before the lockdown, we were due to start some classes in the Midlands. So replicating what we do down in Brighton and in Barnsley. So it is literally about that occupational therapy, about cardio, about mental health, about self-confidence. For us, that is the foundation. As it's growing, we will obviously would like to take it a lot further and establish that as an amateur or as a professional arm. But for me, it's about the community, and we want to be putting this out to as many people and making it accessible as possible right from the start. So for me, that's about those fun, entertaining, engaging classes.
So I know that Victor and I are going to get notes, the WBC, about we want to be a part of this. We have a sister, a cousin, or whatever. Who would they write to? How would they get involved? Is there someone who could teach them to do this correctly? Because there are individuals doing this in the United States. In fact, there's a lovely guy, Boyd Melson, who was working with people who were paraplegic, but just using the boxing bag just to make them sit up better and do better, but nothing with the structure that you're doing. It's like infant work. But who would they get in contact with in your group so that maybe you could go out and teach these people?
So the main...
Yeah.
Apparently that would be me then.
It's WBC Cares UK. And
we were just going to say, yeah. So Louise Fay at WBCCaresUK.org.
Okay.
So yeah, any inquiries to come through there, and then we'll farm that out to our main team. We meet quite regularly.
Or if you get any
up her address to put it up on here. Say it again.
So the email address is Louise Fay at WBCCaresUK.org.
Okay, if we can get it up before we're done, we'll put it up. Otherwise,
if anyone comes to you, Jill, then if anyone comes through to you, then just forward it on to any of us, and we'll get it to.
Absolutely. Actually, a person that we were with yesterday, 𝗧𝗧𝗡𝗗, his cousin was in a car accident, and I believe I sent him. He's a boxing instructor, and he wanted to know specifically how to work with his cousin who became paraplegic in a car accident, who was a boxer as an amateur. So this comes up a lot.
Yeah.
Scott can advise on the chairs as well. Scott's got a lot of experience on the kind of harnesses, because lots of people have got a lot of different disabilities, and the harnesses have to be adapted very specifically to each disability, don't they?
It would be like your own pair of running shoes.
Right. Well, you want to do it correctly so that the frustration doesn't come from using the wrong equipment. Otherwise people just put it down. They can't do it.
In the interim, with the online classes, the beauty of that is all you need is just a chair. So everybody can get involved in that. So we don't have to worry about wheelchairs and gloves and stuff. If you just want to be part of a community, have a chat, have a laugh, and try and get your heart rate up a little bit, come along. Honestly, they're so much fun.
Say again when the classes are, Louise.
So these are UK times: Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10:30 in the morning.
I'm trying to think backwards. My brain isn't working that well.
It's okay.
It's 3 o'clock in America, 5:30.
Yeah, so Tuesday, Thursday, they're 5 p.m. and that's the ones that the Americans jumping on.
That's doable. That's like about 11 o'clock in the morning.
So the Tuesday, Thursdays for you guys would be great.
Tuesday and Thursday, 5 p.m.
Yeah. So that'd be 2 p.m. in New York. Oh, no. Would it be 2 p.m.? It's 5. No, about 12.
Like
1 minute.
5 hours difference.
5 hours. So 12 o'clock. Sorry.
So 5 p.m. Should be noon in New York.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's very doable.
David, Chuck Williams wrote, "Thank him for the memories."
Thank him. He saved the day. He's a hero. Really was. He could have killed me though.
Victor, is there anything that you wanted to ask?
Well, 2 things. I would like to see Daniel's fist. I'm sure he can knock anybody.
Big strong man.
Hey, Scott, would you face him?
No, I wouldn't have fancied it. We first met, I couldn't believe the size of him. He's got an enormous back. His back, I mean, I'm a small guy up against him, believe me. So he's a big, strong man, and I've taken him on the pads, and he's a very powerful, strong man, and he started to get the training was going so well before the lockdown, and then obviously he was actually a little bit ill at the start, and everyone was worried, and he was worried as well. So he hasn't done nothing since the lockdown, but we'll get him back. We'll get him back training, and he's a hell of a man. So it's going to be interesting to see. But the best thing I heard for the lockdown was a setback is nothing but a setup for a comeback. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to come back bigger, stronger, and everything we're working on in the UK. Watch this space, because we're going to show everything we're doing, and we're doing amazing things. So that's what we're going to do.
I'm sure we all will. And you're an inspiration, Jill. When someone like Scott, I mean, I look so small when I'm with Scott. He says that Daniel.
Usually the picture of Scott picking up the little Thai children.
I just want to say you are an inspiration, all of you, because you're working together, you're bringing this, and you show there is no limits. The only limit is here. And I met Luis in Cancun. I was so amazed.
Yeah.
The way she moves the chair, the way she, it's an inspiration. Daniel, I just found out about your story, and it's amazing. My respect and my admiration.
Thank you very much. That means a lot.
David, do you have any patches that you've made that people
I've got patches that you gave me. I've got a few still left, but I could do some more. We've just had some caps come through from Elaine, which we're going to give to the kids.
People wanted specifically adaptive patches, wheelchair.
Okay. No, we haven't got. No, we haven't got an adaptive patch.
Definitely write to Elaine and get those, because I'm sure people watching will want some of those patches.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it would be a good thing to do. Does anyone else have anything to add or say to it?
Yeah, Jill, when you first started this was your idea, your baby, you and Jose, did you ever think it would grow to be as big as it is and internationally? And I mean, have the WBC as a vessel to do all these good works?
Truly,
and research to back it as well.
I didn't think that far. I just thought that what we had was an amazing platform of the most diverse, culturally, ethnically, economically group people in the world, and what an incredible network and platform it would be to do good. It's the members themselves who got hungry, because most people want to do good. They don't have the platform. What the WBC did was give us a platform.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I didn't. I really didn't. Didn't even think about it. Very, very thrilled. And everyone's doing such ethical and imaginative and creative work. It's really beautiful. It's beautiful. Anyway, on that note, last words?
Of course. Thanks for watching the round number 37. Thanks for being with us, David, Daniel, Luis, Scott, Jill, and stay home, stay safe. Jill.
And stay active.
Virtual hug. Maurice, everyone's got to lean towards the screen. We got to do our virtual
Of course.
It's fun.
Blessed day. Have a blessed night, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We'll do it again.
But Jill, you have to finish it.
Thanks for the invite.
Stay home, stay safe, and
stay hip.
Thank you.
Okay.